Hello, hello everyone. This is Jen with Jen's Den Art, and I am live today to have a fun painting with all of you. Come on in and say hello when you get here. Let me take this comment down. Come on in and say hi. So we are painting today a vintage truck. Let me go ahead and show you if I can get this working right. Let me go ahead and show you what we're doing today. So come on in, come on in. Here we go. This is what we're going to be working on today. I'm going to paint this whole thing step by step with you. So come on in and join us. We will have so much fun getting this painted. I'm trying to figure out how to get the photo to show up. Oh, I think I just had it. Is it there? Yes, it is there. Okay, so you can see the photo now at the top right of the screen. So that'll help you with our reference today. And I'm going to zoom in just a little bit. Come on in and say hi. Let us know where you're watching from. Let me get my studio zoom. Let's zoom that baby in there. That might be a little bit too much. Let's see. How's that? Let's see if that's okay. No, that's not too bad. That is not too bad at all. Let's move this over right there. That looks pretty good. Let's go in a little bit more. Okay. So I would say that's pretty good for our view. What do y'all think? I think that's a pretty good view. Okay. So hello, Yvonne and Pat and Sharon. Hello, Miss Marilyn. Y'all come on in. We are getting started to paint this cute little vintage truck here. And I think I have everything set up correctly. I am going to start off with giving you the link, which I think I already did in the comments, but I'm going to put it again. There's a link to download this template. Okay, so make sure you get the template. I am going to be painting today on an 8 by 10. Now I know this piece of paper is an 8.5 by 11. So I'm just going to cut it down so you can see that the template is actually going to fit fine on this 8 by 10 piece of paper. So I'm going to start off by just saying hello and welcome to Jen's Den, In the Den with Jen. This is In the Den with Jen number 25. And what I do is twice a month. That is perfect. That is just the perfect size. This is an 8 by 10. Okay. So what I do is twice a month, I go live on my Facebook page and I share a painting tutorial with all of you to give you an idea of what happens on the inside of my painting membership. And so today we're going to paint this little 8 by 10 old vintage truck. And you have access to this free for 10 days. Hello, hello. Hi, Miss Bobby. Hello, everyone. Hi, Becky. I am back in town. We are not on the road anymore, so I'm actually, yay. I'm actually in the studio today. Can you believe that? I'm actually here in person today. Let me just show my face again. Hi. I'm in person. For those of you who didn't know, we had been traveling for a month. Well, it was 27 days total, and we just got back yesterday. My son lives in Montana. He had some horse competitions and he's graduating from college. And so we went spend a few weeks with him out in Montana, and we just got home. And I'm really enjoying the weather here in Louisiana because it was a little cold in Montana for springtime. And so I'm glad to be back. And this is my first live since I am back. I'm back in the studio and I'm so excited to be here with all of you. So I'm going to paint with you today. I have not painted this yet. This is going to be the first time that I paint this. So we're going to be painting it together. You, again, will have access to this for the next 10 days for free. And then if you want access to this longer, you can either join my memberships, which is the Den or the mini Den. All you have to do is go to jensdenart.com and look at all of the things that I offer. Or you can join a subscriber hub, which is only $4.99 a month, and you get to keep the In the Den with Jen tutorials. So I am going to sketch this out really loose. I'm using a piece of carbon paper, and I'm going to sketch this out. Let me make sure it's transferring. And yes, it is transferring. So I'm going to show you something that I'm going to do. I'm going to do this a little bit different. I am falling in love with underpaintings. Okay, so I've been using underpaintings for a while now, and I'm still experimenting with the different types of underpaintings just for a personal preference. It really adds a lot of life to your paintings, and I am going to share with you a couple of the types of underpaintings that I like to use in my paintings. I love to use bright, vibrant colors. I've done underpaintings from using just like a brown underpainting to a pink to an orange. An orange is kind of like my go-to for most of my work. Okay. Here is a I'm not sure if I used an underpainting for this one. Yeah, I did, because I can see it right here. Here is one of the paintings that we've done in our mini den, in our den. It is our most recent that we have painted together. And you can see that I used an underpainting. You see how I have these few different colors here. One in particular that I used an underpainting for is one that I'm going to be working on soon. It's a big cow face. And you can see I started it off with a really bright orange underpainting. Here is, let me see, I'm going to show y'all a couple of things that I've done with underpaintings that to me makes a really big difference. This one, because of the colors of the painting, you can see that I have the orange underpainting. All of these beautiful colors of the painting, you can see it here. You can see it show through. I just think it really adds a really interesting effect to the painting when you have an underpainting. It also allows you to not have to start with a white blank canvas. And that to me sometimes is really hard to start with white. You feel like you have to cover everything on the canvas when you start with a white like this. Here's another one. This one I used purple. Can you see that? I used like a violet on that one. And there's one in particular that I really like. Here's one that I just recently did. This is in our 6x6 challenge. I used a hot pink. You see how it makes that, it just gives it a whole different effect when you allow some of that color to show through. So we are going to start this painting today with an orange undertone. The reason why I chose orange is no particular reason. I'm really just looking at, okay, so I have a really pretty blue, let me show you what I'm talking about. I have a really pretty blue truck, okay? And you know, if you followed me for a while, you know that when we talk about colors and color theory, opposites across the color wheel are they really help your painting pop when you have those two opposites in a painting. And I really stress that a lot. That's one of my techniques that I love to make sure that I'm following. So if you notice, if you look at this blue, okay, something in this tone over here is opposite, and I'm going to turn this over for you. So if you look at this blue, it's somewhere around here, the blue violet. If I go directly across on the color wheel, you'll see that I've got like a yellow orange. Okay, so in order to make this blue pop when I'm adding it on my painting, I'm gonna wanna put an undertone just for me. This is not a rule of thumb of painting. It's just a personal preference. So I'm going to want to put an underpainting that is complementary to the main color of the truck that I'm going to be painting. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start this off with, let me get me a canvas pad. I don't even have anything to put my paint on yet. I'm still unpacking, so all of my stuff is everywhere. This is not a painting pad. Hang on one sec. I grabbed the wrong thing. Where is my paint? Oh, here they are. Okay. All right, so I'm just going to use orange. I'm going to use a bright orange. It's cadmium orange hue. And I'm going to mix it with a little bit of water just so it's not too thick, because you should already notice that since I traced this with the graphite paper, one of the things I could do that would help me is maybe take a Sharpie. I don't even know if I have a Sharpie, or maybe not even a Sharpie. Let's see. I'm giving you some options here. I'm going to use this. This is an acrylic Posca pen. If you wanted to, you could make your lines darker by using a Posca pen so that you can still see your lines through the underpainting. Or another option is, I'm just gonna do this while I'm working on it, while I'm talking. Another option is you could put your underpainting first and then transfer your template over. Okay, so again, this is not the one and only way to do things. This is just a personal preference because I like the way it adds to my paintings. Okay, trying to get a little more. So I'm just sharing my own personal techniques that I like with you all, and hopefully you can learn from this and you can start applying some of these techniques to some of your paintings as well. Because, you know, we're always learning something. And if you're not learning, to me, you're stagnant. And so to me, I have a degree in education. I was a high school math teacher for almost 25 years. And I was a PE teacher and a coach and all that good stuff. And education is so important to me. So I always feel like it's really important to just allow yourself the opportunity to learn. Just keep learning, keep learning, keep learning. It's just the key to everything. You will never, I hope I never stop learning. And so I take lessons from, or I watch other videos of other artists and I learn some of their techniques, and then I don't necessarily do exactly what they do, but I like to take some of their ideas and say, oh, I like that. I like the way that they used that technique, and I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to apply it to my painting and see how it works, just, you know, in some kind of way. So this is one of the things that I've learned from different artists is try an underpainting and see how it makes your painting work. So what I'm doing is I'm trying to keep it kind of thin. I don't want a really thick layer. And fortunately, I'll show you, this is a semi-opaque color, okay? Sometimes I use a gesso, but this is just an acrylic paint. This is not a gesso. You can use whatever you want. So this is semi-opaque, which means that when I apply the color down, I can still see through my paint color, which is great because I want to see that, I want to see the template. I want to see the not the painting. I want to see the actual truck underneath. So I'm trying not to spread the black. I didn't let it dry enough. I'm trying not to spread the black Posca pen marks when I do this. So and you don't even have to use a Posca pen. You could use a Sharpie, or maybe I didn't even need to use anything. And so this will eventually cover this up with what we're doing, but this is just the beginning. I like this color. It's gonna work really well with my painting. Okay, so that's what I'm gonna do first. Hello, Miss Diana. Glad you're here with us today. Hello, Donna. Sandy, is this like a watercolor down acrylic, like a glaze almost? Not really. It's just a color to allow the complementary colors to really work well. Okay, it doesn't have to be a watered down glaze or anything like that. It could be fully opaque. And I'm trying to dry this. And if it is fully opaque, then just transfer your template or draw your drawing onto your canvas after you apply the underpainting. So it doesn't matter if it's if it's really watered down or not. It's just up to you the way you want to do it. I hope that makes sense. Yeah. You're welcome, Sandy. Hello, Miss Mary. Yes, I just got back, Connie. I just got back. Well, we just got back last night. So I'm still recuperating. It was a 30-hour drive, so you can imagine. We have traveled. We traveled. Let's see. Let's start with the states. Montana, Idaho, Colorado, Wyoming. We went through Kansas this time. Normally we go through New Mexico. Where else did we go? Texas. What other states am I missing? There's been a lot of states that we've hit. We went on the way going, we went through Utah. On the way back, we did not. Yeah, so we have traveled just about every state around in the last few years. We are big road trippers. We love to take road trips and just travel the United States and see what's out there. Most of the time, it's west. We go out west most of the time, but it's so much fun. Okay, so let's talk about our colors now that we're going to use here. As you can see, we've got some blues. So, well, let's start with our black and whites. I'm going to go ahead and put my black. Okay, this is just Mars black. And then I am going to put my white. Let's see. Just get a palette knife to help me grab my white out. I'm going to put my white. Now, these colors, you don't have to use the exact colors. Just something close to these colors will work just fine. Now let's go with the green. I'm going to just use a sap green. This is sap green permanent from Liquitex. As you can see, I use all different brands. Most of the brands that I have in front of me right now are Liquitex brands. The blues. So I'm going to put two different blues on my palette. I'm going to use ultramarine blue. And this is Utrecht. Utrecht is this brand. And I'm also going to use phthalo blue. Phthalo blue is super bright. Ultramarine blue is more towards the violet side. So I'm going to kind of mix those two together. I think they'll make a really pretty truck color. What else? Burnt umber. I see a lot of, you know what? Burnt sienna is another color I'm going to grab. I did not grab that first. But I see a lot of like the rust, that rust color in there. So I'm going to grab the burnt sienna. And burnt sienna is kind of like a reddish brown, which that orange underpainting will really play in well with that burnt sienna. It'll look really good. And then the last color I'm going to add right now is going to be cadmium yellow medium. So these are the colors that I think I will need. Okay, I may be a little off. I might need to add another color. I'm not sure. But these are the colors that I think I'm going to need to be able to paint this. So we're going to go ahead and get started. I am going to take, still unpacking. I don't know where all of my paintbrushes are. So I'm just going to grab a bunch of them. I'm actually going to start with the truck. Okay, I'm going to start with the truck and then I'm going to work around afterwards. So I'm really excited to get this truck going. I'm going to dip a flat paintbrush. Now this is a small canvas. This is only an 8 by 10. So I'm using some small paintbrushes to get in those little areas here. This is a number 12 bright, and this is a number 6 probably. No, this is a number 10 flat. Okay, the difference between a bright and a flat is the bright is a little bit shorter. The bristles are a little bit shorter than a flat brush. Okay, so I think I'm going to start with a bigger. If you start with a bigger, you kind of keep your painting a little loose, and that's what I really love. So I'm going to take this ultramarine blue and this phthalo blue, and I'm going to mix them together. You can use any blue, okay? It doesn't matter which one you use, but what I want to make sure you understand, let me pull up my photo here so I can have the photo to look at. Hang on, where's my vintage truck? There it is. Okay, so any color blue will work. I'm going to tone it down a little bit with some white. And I'm going to mix that together. It doesn't have to match perfect. And I'm just going to come in with all of the areas where I see the blue that are visible in my reference photo. So I'm not trying to make anything beautiful yet. All I'm doing is just kind of allowing myself to put that color down. Now this is a really bright color. Y'all see how bright it is? I'm okay with not covering the entire surface because remember, I put that orange underpainting there for a reason. Because I do want some of that to peek through. So I'm going to allow myself the opportunity to let some of that all peek through here. And some of this is going to be covered up by the greenery, but I'm just going to do myself a favor and just make sure that I cover enough blue. Like I'm kind of over covering my truck with the blue because the great thing about acrylics is you can just paint over it. If that's not the color that you needed there, it's always easier to just paint over than to try to paint under something that you've already completed. Okay. The white paint in the jar is Winsor & Newton. I think I bought this. I see the question, what's the paint brand? I use a lot of different brands, as you can tell. This is probably like from Michael's or Hobby Lobby. I like to buy the big jars of white because I use so much of it. And so, I don't know, I might have ordered this from blick.com. And it is an opaque. It's a really good white. I really like it. It's Winsor & Newton. Hello, Kamala. I'm glad to be back too. You know, when you spend 27 days not sleeping in your own bed, you know, that's a long time. So we were blessed to have the opportunity to stay with my son in his house, which is why, you know, I mean, if we wouldn't have had that opportunity, we probably wouldn't have been able to stay as long. But he rents a house that had enough room for us. So it was nice to have that opportunity to stay with him and our dogs. And so we had a really good time visiting with him. And we enjoyed watching him win all of the competitions that his road to the horse competitions that he was in. He took them all. He won. So I'm so glad that we were there to witness that and be a part of that with him. Okay, so I'm going to go into the black now. And the reason why is because I just feel like I covered for the most part the majority of the blue. And now I'm looking at the truck and I'm seeing some darker colors that I want to add into my painting. So I'm going to take some black and some brown, and I'm actually taking the burnt sienna. I'm going to take the black and the burnt sienna. I'm still using the same paintbrush, and I'm going to come in here and I'm just going to start adding some of those darker colors that I see. I don't want to use solid black. I want to be able to give myself the opportunity to go darker if I have to. And if I use solid black, oh, I see I skipped this blue right here. If I use solid black now, then I'll never have an opportunity to be able to go darker. And I always want to give myself some room to be able to go darker. So I don't like to use solid black. Okay, I'm just looking around the truck and I'm noticing where I have some really dark colors all underneath here. You notice how I'm kind of just tapping. I'm not really spreading paint like you would if you were painting a wall in your house or something like that. I'm really trying to stay really impressionistic. And my impressionistic style has a lot of that just kind of like putting down a spot of paint and then moving back up, like just dropping it down and picking back up and not spreading, just kind of putting it in that spot. I don't know if that made any sense, but I hope it did. Okay, so there's some really cool browns down here. That rusty color right there. So I'm just looking at my painting and I'm just finding, oops, I lost my my light. I think it's somewhere right here. So I'm going to put that back in there. A little bit up here. And I love that I'm mixing a little bit of yellow into my blue because I see some really cool, like mildewy areas in here. And so I'm just going to kind of tap those around. Old truck. I love it. Even though it might not be the same exact color as the photo, it's just fun to add the variety of colors in there so you can start seeing it come to life. Thank you, Donna. It is fun. Miss Rosie, I am painting on dabbing it in that spot. That's exactly what I'm doing, Donna. I'm dabbing it in that spot. Yeah, and it keeps Yes, I see y'all all saying dabbing, dabbing. That's a good word for it. Miss Rosie, I am painting on an 8 by 10 canvas, an 8 by 10 canvas, just a canvas panel. One of those, it's really thin, but it's covered with canvas. Okay, so I'm gonna size down my paintbrush, and I'm going just a little bit smaller. This is the one I was using first. I'll show you the difference. So it's a little bit smaller, not that much smaller, but enough for me to feel comfortable with it. And I'm going to start, there's no particular order in any of this, except for me right now, I see that the back of the truck, I'm going to wait and paint that after I paint the greenery and the trees in the background, because once I start putting these paint lines in here, then it's going to be really hard for me to fill in between those little areas of the wood and the back of the truck. So I'm going to just kind of leave the truck for now, and I'm going to start going into my background. So I'm going to kind of go back and forth. I'm grabbing some green. I'm just grabbing a little bit of green. This is a sap green. It's kind of really dark, and I added some black to it as well. That's like super dark. I probably need to go lighter than that. I'm just kind of, again, dabbing. Okay, I'm going to go a little bit lighter. And I'm going to make it lighter by adding some of this cadmium yellow to it. And I'm just going to kind of tap around over here with some green. And I'm going to let my eyes find some green for me. So just going to start filling in a little bit. Now, this is only the first layer, so don't worry about not covering everything that you see in the painting. So I'm going to kind of just dabble around here to get a little bit of that greenery back here. I want to go a little bit lighter. And so I'm just going to have some fun with this green, and I'm just going to kind of fill in some areas with different values of green. Now, one of the things I noticed right offhand, this value of this green is too dark for the contrast of the truck. So if you look at the different value, okay, so the truck is kind of like here's your value scale. All right, you see how it gets darker and lighter. So the truck is kind of like maybe like around here, but the green is like, it's a lot lighter. It's like way up here. So you want to make sure that you have, and value is basically the brightness of the color. Okay. Either adding yellow or white to a color will make the value much brighter, and adding black or the complementary color will make your values much darker. And I'll say that again. So if you add white or yellow or either white or yellow to a color, if you want it to be lighter, you want the values to be lighter, you would add white or yellow. But if you want the values of that color to be darker, you would add either black or the complementary color. Complementary color will saturate it and make it like kind of like a grayish color. So those are a little tips that you can, little tips you can help remember. when you're trying to change the value of your color. And if you don't understand what I'm talking about with value, I teach all of that in my Acrylic 101 and in my membership. We talk about that a lot. So I'm just keeping it really, really loose. Need to add a little more water to get it to move around. Some of this is kind of like long Johnson grass. We used to call that Johnson grass. I don't know. I grew up in the country in Louisiana, and so we had a lot of Johnson grass growing up in the fields. So some of this is just long and lanky. Okay, so I'm not really worried about making the grass look like blades of grass. So I'm just gonna go with that for now. Let's clean that off. And now I'm going to go into a little bit of the browns. I'm going to take the same paintbrush and I'm going to use some burnt umber. Hello, Christine from Canada. And hello, Miss Elaine and Carrie and Una and Kathy. Thank y'all all for being here. I really appreciate it. Hey, Miss Pat. Okay, so I made a really light mixture of brown and white, and I'm gonna just make some trees back here. A lot of this is going to be covered up because I haven't put any background on this, but I'm just kind of just giving myself the illusion that there's going to be a bunch of trees back here. So I'm just passing my paintbrush over that, even though a lot of them will be covered up. It just helps me understand where everything's going to be going as I'm working on this. So we have a lot of branches and things like that that are going to take place here. And then I'm going to take this. It's just basically a filler for me for my eyes to work. Okay, I'm going to take a little bit more of this brown. And I'm going to add a little bit more white and some burnt sienna. And I'm going to bring in some more of this brown and kind of start filling in some of these areas that were not touched by the green. So I'm kind of going in between the green and just adding some of that brown. And I still have to come back and fix this. This should be blue right here. I haven't done that yet. So now I'm kind of like filling in all of those holes that I didn't fill in the first and the second time. And so I'm going back there. I'm going to start filling in all of this. I'm going to bring in a little bit of yellow. And this is going to be the color that I use for the wood back here. A little bit more white. Just kind of filling in. Again, I'm very impressionistic. I'm not trying to make the exact replica of this painting. I'm just working in different shades of things just to make it work for what my purpose is. I'm using this as an inspiration, not as an exact replica of what I want to paint. Okay, so I'm just going to let myself do a little bit of fun back here, like just paint a really impressionistic style. I'm going to pay attention to the colors, but I'm not necessarily going to pay attention to the shape of every single blade of grass and so forth and so on. And I'm going to allow myself the freedom to play and just make some of this super fun. Now, I'm going to take a break from that. I know I have to fill in all of this. I'm going to take a break from that because I want to do the tires. So when I look at the tires, I see black, but I also see blue in the tires. It's kind of like a Payne's gray. So, and that's just from the reflection of the sun or whatever it is. So I'm going to bring in a little bit of that blue into my black. And I'm going to fill in the tire. I'm skipping around a lot, and that's just my style, really. I try to let things dry sometimes before I go back to other spots. All right, and then back here, I've got this tire back here. Okay, and then I'm gonna have to bring my my grass. I'm gonna bring my grass on top of some of this as well. Let's see what I got going on right here. A little bit of whites. Let's bring in some of the whites. Add a little bit of white, and I'm going to bring it in. Need some brown. I'm going to work on this. This needs to be a little more blue. I'm going to add some more blue in there. Just have fun with all of the different values that you see. Okay, so let's get this rusted area. I'm going to clean my paintbrush off. And let me take a step back and see what I want to work on. All right, I'm going to go finish. I want to start finishing up the top. So I'm going to go back into the green. And I'm going to bring just a little bit of green up here. And that's kind of strong. So I'm going to add a little bit of orange to that green because it's on my palette here. So the reason why I'm grabbing the orange, I could also grab the burnt sienna because my first thought is, okay, my green is too strong, it's too bright, and I want to calm it down. And I want to make it a little bit darker. So what's the complementary color to green? Well, normally it's red. Well, I don't have a red on my palette, and I don't want to have to just bring a red out just because I want a complementary color. Then if I did that, I would be adding an additional color to my color palette, and it may throw off the hues of the painting. So since this has been determined as my color palette, then I'm going to stay in this color palette, and I'm not going to add additional colors to my painting, because at this point I've pretty much identified what the color palette is going to be for this painting. So again, I want the greens to be a little bit darker. I didn't want them to be so bright. So I said to myself, well, I'm going to calm it down by using a complementary color. Complementary color to green is red. I don't have a red on my palette, so I'm using something close to red. I have a little bit of orange on my palette, and I have some burnt sienna. So that's what I decided to use to grab some of that green and make my green just a little bit calmer. I didn't want it so bright. So I hope that makes sense. All right, I'm going to bring some of that out here. A little bit of that all in here as well, just to kind of fill in. I'm starting to fill in everything. Let's get some of that in here. Just fill it all in. Let's go with a little bit of a brighter green. So I'm going to add some yellow to it. And I'm going to start really paying attention to my pattern because it's super, super busy and blotchy right now. So I want to calm that down a little bit, and I don't want quite as much. It's almost like dots. All right. I don't want quite as much of this painting to look just like dots. I want to actually have some nice flow to my paint. Okay. So I'm going to start using a little bit of a longer stroke through some of the painting areas. And I'm not going to blotch as much, because too much blotching, if that's even a word, it really takes away from, it gets too busy. All right. It gets too busy. So I'm going to make some longer strokes in some of these areas with a lighter green. And I'm still just kind of bringing in all of those shades and filling in as we go. And we're going to spend a lot more time on our truck. But right now, I'm just trying to get a little bit more coverage around here. Just still kind of covering up stuff. Okay, I really like that color. And also what would help is a larger paintbrush. If you use a larger paintbrush, then you won't have as much of the blotchiness that you see that I have here. So that may be something that you want to consider when you're painting this. Do you want a larger paintbrush to eliminate some of that blotching? Okay, so now I'm making kind of like a grayish brown. I'm using black and white and burnt umber. I'm going to use a little bit more burnt umber than I am anything else. And I'm still using the same paintbrush, and I'm going to start kind of filling in this area up here again with some trees. Just a bunch of branches, basically. And I really like that color, so I'm going to use it over here as well because I want these values to be a little bit lighter. So I'm going to bring in more white, a little bit more white. Okay. And then let's go ahead and rust up a little bit around the tires. Just a little bit of burnt sienna. Kind of make like a gray. This is very bright. All right, I'm going to fool with my truck a little bit more. So I'm going to go back into the blue. And the white. I'm going to add just a little bit of black to that. And I'm just going to start giving it some life in a few areas. Start filling in some spots with a little bit of a different color so that you can start seeing the actual dimension of some of the parts of the truck. So using all of these different tones will start giving the truck that rustic look that we want. So I'm kind of like muting down the blue, and I'm going in and I'm filling in with just kind of like a bluish, a little bit of burnt sienna and a little bit of phthalo blue and some white. And I'm going in and I'm just kind of toning down that bright blue to kind of make it look older. So you see how many layers you have to use to get where you want to get with this. Just going to fill in some of this in here with some darker colors. All right, starting to come together. little bit of a darker color here. Let's get some more darkness in here. And let me get some of these lines identified. I think that'll help a lot. So I'm going to use a little bit of black, and I'm going to bring down a few of these darker areas right in there. Give it a little bit more depth. Okay, and then right here, I see, like, to get that dimension with this front fender over the wheel, we need to add some lighter color. We want to make sure that we have a contrast between these two areas right here. So I'm going to make sure that this area right here is a little bit darker. And then when I start coming in here, I'm going to make sure that's a little bit lighter. So I'm making a lighter blue for this area right here. So now you can really see that this is in front of that. Before it was hidden and you couldn't really see that. So let me grab another paintbrush, one that's a little bit smaller, because I'm going to start making a little bit of detail in the front. Let me see. I think this will be good. In the front here, I'm going to start making a little bit more detail. My light needs to go about right here. So I'm going to have to fix that, but it's not a bad fix. I'm just going to add some of this, the grill to the front, right there. A little bit of a darker shade in there, and then a little touch of white right there. All right, and then I'm going to go back and I'm going to add some lighter tones to the truck. And then we can start finishing everything else up. So a little bit lighter. I'm going to bring in I'm going to add a little bit more white. A little bit lighter areas. A few little highlights here and there. Up here is a lot lighter. A little bit of a lighter color there. I'm just looking at my photo and I'm seeing, okay, where are the lights on the blue? Where are the lightest colors on the blue? And I'm just trying to bring in a few of those right in there. Now you can start seeing this truck come to life a little bit more. Oh, I forgot this rusty old fender right here. So I want that to be a lot darker. So I'm going to add some black to it. But now that's too dark. Now it just like blends in. So I'm going to add some burnt sienna. And then in order to make this stand out just a little bit more, I'm going to play with the contrast of these two areas. So I want more burnt sienna. And then I'm just going to add a little bit of a lighter color behind it. So we have a little bit more of a contrast. All right, and let's bring these tires. Let's get these tires a little bit more of a contrast as well. So I'm just kind of mixing up a dark bluish gray. And I'm going to bring that in. Not interested in making it exact. Okay, just interested in making it have the illusion of I like. Okay, so another area that needs some work is right here. This is really important. This is a really important part of the truck. So I'm going to make sure that this looks like it's in front. Okay, so I'm going to add a little more white because I want this to stand out and be super bright right here. I want that to come forward. So this part right here, just going to add a little bit of white. And then I'm going to make sure that behind that is right against it is super dark. And then I'm just going to add a little bit of grass kind of in there to kind of fill that in. So this is when we start getting into all of the details. So now we're refining everything and making sure that we start allowing our brush strokes to actually represent what we really want it to represent. So I'm going back in now with a lot of a lighter color on my truck because of the weeds. And I add a little bit lighter. So now I'm getting close to, okay, now it's starting to actually look like, see how much time it took to get there though? So you have to be patient. You have to allow yourself the time. And when I paint with my membership, we usually paint, whenever we do paintings like this, we usually paint in 2 days. We do about an hour and 15 minutes a day, a night. We do it on Monday and Tuesday nights live. We paint together live. And we take a break because it just makes for a better painting if we take a break and we allow ourselves some time to rest and look at the painting and see if there's anything we need to change or update. And it also allows you as a member, if you're going to paint with us, it allows you the opportunity to just have more time with us instead of trying to rush through the painting in one night in 1 hour. Because after an hour to an hour and 15 minutes, you lose focus. You just can't. I'm an educator. I have a degree. I have a master's degree in education. And as an adult, after approximately 75 minutes, you just can't focus anymore. And it's really hard to continue to focus on what it is you're doing. So we take breaks and we take our paintings into 2 sessions. And I think it really helps me as a painter especially as an educator, as a teacher, to see how much more time I can spend if I give myself a break. How much more time I can spend on a painting if I give myself a break and I allow myself an opportunity to either let it dry or rest or whatever it is. Now, we're not taking a break right now. I'm going through this whole painting today, and I know a lot of people do, but I just don't believe that. I just don't feel it. I don't feel like I can always complete a painting in one session, and that's just something that I've learned through my education. So just to let you know that is how we run our membership. And on 3, I'm coming up here and I'm adding a little bit more of a grayish blue up there. And I'm going to go a little bit lighter. 3 of the weeks we paint together monthly. I'm just trying to make maybe a little bit of sky up here just to add a little breakage of all of the green and all of that. So I'm just kind of making my own suggestions or my own decisions about my background right now. And I'm adding a little bit of sky up there. So yes, we do paint live every week, Monday and Tuesday nights, except on the last Monday and Tuesday night of the month, we only go live on Monday nights because it's a shorter painting. I usually do like a smaller 5x5, like a shelf sitter type painting or something. Okay, so I like this a lot better. Just felt like I needed something to break and bring it all in. All right. And then I'm going to continue going a little bit lighter. So I want you to notice what I'm focusing on, the values, okay? I want to start getting values are everything in a painting, the lights and the darks. The color is not very important, believe it or not. The color that you use is not what you should focus on. What you should focus on is the values of the painting. And this is what I'm talking about when I talk about values. This is a grayscale value. You've got, this is an example of black, but I can go all the way from a value of 1 to a value of 10. But I can do this with every single color. I can do this with green. I can do this with blue. I can do this with red. I can do it with every single color. So you really want to focus on the values. You want to make sure that whatever the brightness, how light is this blue? Okay, how light is it? Like what it's about right here, which is a value 5. I mean, you don't have to match it to the exact number, but if you allow yourself to have these different values, the lights, and then see how here is darker, that's maybe almost this dark or even this dark. Okay, so if you allow yourself to use all of those different values, you will see your painting come to life. And that's what we're working on right now. I want to get some lighter values up here. And while I'm adding these lighter values, I know in the original photograph, it's all like bushes and trees and no sky. But to me, it would make a more interesting painting if I add some sky up here. Otherwise, it's just too boring. There's too much green. There's too many branches, all that good stuff. So I said to myself, I want some lighter values up here. And instead of using greens and browns, I want to add a little bit of color to my painting. So I am going to make lighter values, but within my lighter values, I'm going to use blue because I think it's going to make a much more interesting painting. And so again, this is when I talk to you about The photo is just a reference. Okay, it's just a reference for inspiration. It is not what I'm actually trying to paint for, say, unless I got a commission piece that somebody wanted me to recreate something exactly the same as what they send me, you know, the photo. So, so yeah. Okay, what I'm doing right now is I'm making my branches again. And I'm coming back in for the third time, and I'm just going to make some really loose branches in here. And I think I'm going to go a little bit lighter. My branches need a little bit more of a lighter value, so I'm going to add a little bit more white to them. Okay, perfect. And let's bring in some of these branches in here as well. I still have a lot to cover. I have a little bit too much orange showing through. I want to cover just a little bit more of all of those areas. So I'm just going to tap around. I don't want to cover all of it, but I do want to cover some. Especially in the back of the truck. So what values do I see back there in the back of the truck that would help me cover up some of these oranges? So I need just a little bit of like a gray. Come in here and fill in some of that. And let's go a little bit darker down here. I want this to be a little bit darker all through here. That noise, that scratching, by the way, that's my dog. She likes to scratch on the carpet to give herself a spot to sit down. I don't know why she does that. Okay, coming back around. Much better. All right, let me take a step back. So I still think that my values are a little off, meaning that I want my truck to pop a little bit more. So I'm going to come back in and I'm going to add just a little bit of a brighter color to my truck. I want my truck to pop, and it's not. So here we go again. A little more white in there. Some more white. I need to go much lighter. All right, bring in all those lighter colors one more time. So you can see those lighter colors will bring that truck forward. And then another thing you can do is you can make the darks darker. That's what I meant to say. Make the, like all of the areas around. Around here. I'm going to go into my black now, and I'm just going to make a few areas. Like, see, this tire doesn't even look like it's a tire. So I'm going to bring in a few of the darker colors around it, and I'm going to bring in a lighter shade to make the tire come back forward. And also here, I'm going to bring in just a little bit lighter. So you got to play with those darks and lights until you get it how you want it. I want this to be a little bit darker, so that it pops and it comes forward, or it makes the blue pop to come forward, and it pushes the bottom of the truck back. So all of those little tips hopefully are helping you in when you're trying to create that depth. See, like right here, I'm going to focus on this little area right here. The tire, I want the tire to come forward. So in order to make the tire come forward, I'm going to add a little bit more of a brighter bluish gray in the front of the tire. And then right on the edge of it, right on the back of it, I'm going to make sure that I go darker. Okay, so now you can see the tire. It's actually poking out towards us. And I'm going to add just a little bit more variety in that tire. You can see the little areas back there. Much better. Let's go a little bit darker right in here. All right. Where else do I need some darkness to push things back? Maybe a little bit in here. And I want this lighter. It's too hidden. The wood is too hidden. So I'm going to make my wood brighter. I'm just gonna go back over. There we go. Now it's coming forward. And if it's still not coming forward enough for you, just keep playing with it. But now you can see it. It's coming forward. And that's the beauty of values. A little bit lighter in here. So all of those little details make a huge difference. I see right here, I'm just going to try to make this just come forward a little bit. This is the step that you're stepping on to get into the truck. And that kind of got hidden. So I'm going to bring it forward again. And I'm bringing it forward by adding those light colors. So now you can see, that step just came forward. Okay. So this is a very detailed painting. I'm going back and adding a little bit more grass. This is a very detailed painting, and I'm going to bring some of this grass in here, or these vines. I'm going to bring them forward as well. So I just added some green and yellow and white. And I'm going to bring a few of those forward. A little bit down here. So I'm coming down to the nitty-gritty here. This is when you start adding like your last layer. See how much lighter I'm going with the green this time? Adding my grass here. All right, I like that a lot. And I want my sky to pop just a little bit more. So I'm going to go into my white. And I'm going to make some sky come through. I have just a little bit of blue up here on my paintbrush. But now you can see the sky is popping through the trees. And if you happen to cover up your branches, just go back over when it dries and add a few more branches. And I'm going to do that right now. I'm going to make my branches just a little bit darker. Or my trees, actually. This is what they are. Such a fun painting. Okay, much better. All right, I'm getting close to being done. I know I keep going back and adding some more stuff. Trying to make that look like it's see-through. Like you can see through the window into the truck, like through the truck. And I wouldn't be surprised if I end up, I'm going to call it, I'm going to say, okay, I'm done. But I wouldn't be surprised if I end up later even making my truck even lighter and just bringing it forward even more, because I still feel like it's still a little hidden, a little bit too much. Like the values are not far enough apart from one another. I feel like maybe I'll go in even further with my truck. I don't like this spot right here. I have to put like some branches, kind of make that come alive a little bit. All right, that's a little bit better. Okay, so what do y'all think? This was definitely a big study on values, and let me bring my face back in the screen if I can. There we go. So yeah, this is definitely a huge study on values and trying to make those areas of your painting stand out that you want to stand out. Our focus on this painting should be the truck. So we want to make sure that everything that is surrounding the truck is not what our eyes are going to. So that's, it's a good you kind of you have to give or take and just try a few things to try to make it work. I had so much fun painting this with all of you today. Again, if you did not get the template, I'm going to put the link to the template right in the comments. I just posted it again so that you can have the template to play around with this. And please make sure that you share your work with us in our free acrylic group. We have a free Facebook group, and check out my website, jensdenart.com, and you will see memberships that you can join and all kind of fun stuff that we have going on. We'd love for you to join us. Have a great day. I will see you next time. Bye.